Welcome to episode 31 of the Other Star franchise, the anti-fascist Star Wars podcast where a couple of Trekkies from the Star Trek fandom discuss Star Wars. We are currently watching a lot of the Star Wars shows, movies, and animation in chronological order, leading up to the release of the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Today we are discussing Season 1 of The Mandalorian, which takes place in the year 9 ABY. I'm Fatheree, this is Taylor. Say hi, Miss Taylor.
Hello there.
Y'all might know us from the TEX-TREK podcast, where we talk about Star Trek, but we are talking about Star Wars today, talking about that SW franchise. We are talking about The Mandalorian, the TV show that is the genesis of the upcoming movie I keep talking about. So, Taylor, a return to what was I guess one of the biggest, most popular parts of Star Wars out of the last decade or so.
Yeah.
So, I'm looking forward to talking about this one. I had a lot of fun revisiting The Mandalorian Season 1. What about you?
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen the first season. And I remember it always being really good, but I guess, like, even better now. I don't know. I was like, wow, this is really entertaining.
Yeah, it was fun to watch it as part of our chronological rewatch and watching a lot of the Dave Filoni work in Clone Wars and in Rebels. And then I go into this show and I'm like, oh man, I see so much more Dave Filoni fingerprints all over the place that I did not notice necessarily the first time I was watching. So I'm looking forward to talking about that and getting into all that stuff. Just also want to comment on the fact that if you are watching a video format of this podcast right now, then you should be able to see the spreadsheet on screen. This is the big famous spreadsheet I talk about all the time on this show, but it tracks all of the Star Wars that we have been watching in chronological order, from all the way when we started with The Acolyte, and then our journey through the prequel trilogy, and through the Clone Wars, and finally through some of the other Disney Plus shows like Andor and Obi-Wan Kenobi, and of course Rebels. And then we got to the original trilogy, and now we are starting our post-original trilogy journey, or at least this segment of it. That's kind of the 9 ABY seems to be a big year, if that is when all this stuff takes place. But I guess all the seasons of The Mandalorian, plus the Book of Boba Fett, plus Ahsoka, plus the show Skeleton Crew that Taylor and I still haven't even seen for the first time, so that'll be new to both of us. But then I guess also like the new movie. They're all in the year 9 ABY. So this is like a Clone Wars type. This is like 22 or 21.
A deep dive on year 9.
BBY, yeah. So a lot going on. But I think that all just comes from one time, like Jon Favreau said in an interview something like, oh yeah, like our show is like 5 years after Return of the Jedi or something like that. And so they're just like, okay, all this is like 9 ABY until we hear different. But it doesn't really follow the show The Mandalorian. It doesn't really follow any of the characters that we've established previously, at least not in Season 1, especially not in Season 1. But it is using the kind of, okay, the Empire just collapsed 5 years ago. Like, that's the backdrop, that's the setting.
Right.
That's the specific variation and flavor of the Star Wars universe that this show chooses to take place in. I remember I had a lot of memories of watching The Mandalorian for the first time. I remember when it came out in 2019. I stayed home from work so I could watch, like it was the day that Disney Plus was going to launch. It was also like a day that we were expecting bad weather here. So I was like, oh man, like good that I was planning to take off work, but the weather ended up not being too bad. But it was like a nice cold November day, and like when the show opened in the on that cold planet in the first episode, felt very appropriate though.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I was at this time like I had really liked the first two movies in the sequel trilogy. I really liked The Force Awakens. I really loved The Last Jedi, and I was nervous about The Rise of Skywalker because they were putting like Palpatine stuff in the trailers. I was like, I don't know if they're gonna bring him back. If they're resurrecting Palpatine, I don't know that movie's gonna be for me. Turned out I did not like it, but I was very curious about the show. I was like, man, like I like Jon Favreau. I kind of like Dave Filoni now after finally getting into Clone Wars and Rebels, and I want this to be good, but I don't know. Just like this Mandalorian bounty hunter, that just seems a little. I don't know, a little trite, a little like, haven't we seen Star Wars bounty hunters enough? Couldn't they do something a bit more original or different for the first big live action TV show they're gonna do? But the first episode, they did not show any Grogu in any of the trailers before the show came out. We did not see that baby Yoda face until like the very end of this episode,
Mm-hmm.
and that was all they showed in this first episode, and yeah, it wasn't like they didn't release like multiple episodes on day one. It was just like this one single episode. I remember it was like I don't know. I started watching the episode like 8 o'clock in the morning, so by like 9 o'clock I had seen Baby Yoda the day that Disney Plus launched. I'm telling you, like by like the time I ate lunch, like around like noon, that one little face that you see at the end of this episode, it was like all over the internet. It was like instantly became a huge phenomenon that everyone loved.
Yeah.
I don't know. You have any other like big thoughts on Mando season one before we dive into? We'll go episode by episode, starting with chapter one. But.
Yeah, I guess I should say like this is what inspired me to watch Clone Wars and Rebels, I guess.
Yeah, because they reference a lot of that stuff later.
Yeah, as we're like watching all of this in chronological order, I'm slowly remembering how I came across all of them individually or whatever. But yeah, like there's an episode of Fennec Shand in this, and I didn't know who that was until.
Well, this was her introduction.
Like no, she was in Clone Wars though.
She was in Bad Batch, which came out after this.
Gotcha. Never mind. But, and she wasn't in the prequels. That was a different.
Oh yeah, that was Jango's co-worker, his partner. No, Zam is the shape changer.
Man, I'm just real bad at names.
Well, there's so many underworld characters now.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind. So.
Aurora Singh got killed by Tobias Beckett.
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely remember this sparking the like, oh, well, if you like this, you should watch Rebels. But if you watch Rebels, you should watch Clone Wars first, and then doing all that. And it was like actually available like on Disney Plus now, so I like had a reason or an accessible place to watch everything. Because I didn't have like any streaming services before Disney Plus except for Netflix occasionally. Like if I was like using someone else's. But yeah, I'm good to do episode breakdowns if you're ready for that.
Okay, cool. So let's start with the very first episode, Chapter 1, The Mandalorian. And I love how the show is like chapter by chapter. And obviously, like when they were making season 1, they knew they were going to do 2 seasons. Like I think like these first 16 chapters work really well as like one big story, but also as like a lot of little small micro stories. And I love like the short episode run times. A lot of like 39, 42, 41, 37 minute episodes.
Yeah.
But each one of these things is so good by itself as they released, and we just binged this whole thing last night because you can watch the whole season, and it's like
6 hours.
Yeah,
5.5 hours.
It's like 5.5 hours with no breaks. Like we took like a few breaks, but not many. It was pretty watchable as a big thing. But yeah, this first episode, Taylor, tell us what happens in Chapter 1, The Mandalorian.
After completing a bounty for guild leader Greef Karga, a Mandalorian bounty hunter accepts an under-the-table commission on the outpost world of Navarro from an enigmatic client, with connections to the former Galactic Empire. The client directs the Mandalorian to find an unnamed 50-year-old target that the client's colleague Dr. Pershing insists to be brought back alive. The Mandalorian receives a single bar of Beskar steel sacred to his people as a down payment. He takes the steel to a covert Mandalorian enclave where an armorer uses it to make him a pauldron. The Mandalorian travels to the planet of the target's last reported location, where vapor farmer Quill is tired of the constant bounty hunting activity in his area and hopes the Mandalorian can end it. Quill directs the Mandalorian to a heavily defended encampment, where he reluctantly works with bounty hunting droid IG-11 to clear the camp and find the quarry, a child. IG-11 attempts to kill the infant per its bounty orders. The Mandalorian shoots and destroys the droid, taking the child alive.
So, we get the introduction of this cool, like, Old West style. In a lot of ways, the Mandalorian, he reminds me more of classic Boba Fett than Boba Fett does. I kind of think of, like, Boba Fett as, like, a different character. Sorry. I kind of think of Boba Fett as a different character, the guy who Tamora Morrison plays in season 2. Are you okay?
I gotta cough really hard.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry.
But we do the show live with no editing, so give you the raw experience as if you're actually in the room with us. But the guy who Boba Fett plays the guy who Tamora Morrison plays in season 2, he's this, big, swole, he's like doesn't even have like the same like build and frame as Jeremy Bulloch as the Boba Fett in The Empire Strikes Back, who's like this tall, skinny guy, and like his voice is so different with the Kiwi accent. He doesn't have like the cool, cold Clint Eastwood voice. I kind of feel like Pedro Pascal kind of he kind of embodies more that cold, mysterious stoicism that we associated with Boba Fett, and then I guess like the fact that like we never see his face. Yeah. And then when we finally get some Mandalorian action again after Boba Fett in the original trilogy, when we get to Jango Fett and Little Kid Boba, it's like, well, we see their faces more often than we see their helmets. Yeah. So it's like this is almost like this is closer to what I used to think of as Boba Fett. Like in the 90s when I would just like read like these books, like the Tales of the Bounty Hunters and stuff like that, and there were like all these stories about Boba Fett going out and hunting down his targets as he bounty hunts.
Yeah.
And yeah, it seemed more like what this TV show was doing.
It was like, yeah, we realized that maybe y'all are a little disappointed with how Boba Fett was fleshed out. We'll do that,
bit of that, but
differently this time. But I think it's super cool, like how stoic and mysterious Din Djarin is. Like and I know that it's not always Pedro Pascal in the suit, but like the acting of all the people who play Mando, with like the head tilts and like the slight movements, like they just nail his he says so much without saying anything, and you can really feel like the emotions and like maybe what faces they're making under the mask so easily. Yeah. Like the acting in the show is insane. For Mando specifically.
We met the guy who, not Pedro Pascal, but the guy who plays the Mandalorian in the majority of the shots. His name is Brendan Wayne, I think. But he was on, he came on and actually appeared on an episode of Starfleet Sohel After Dark.
Oh, okay.
Because our friend Evan, who lives in California, like his kid goes to the same school, and like Madeline, he's like, oh yeah, like come be on my friend's stream with us. So
nice.
And then like as we're talking to him, our friend PJ up in Newfoundland that I've told you about, Taylor, he was like Googling him as we were talking to him, and he's like, oh, you're John Wayne's grandson? And he was like, oh yeah.
He's like, that's not something I really like tell people.
But But yeah, he is the Mandalorian in almost every shot. There's some stuff that's Pedro Pascal, and then there's also a stunt double guy who does a lot of the action fight scenes. But if it's just like the man who just like walks into a room and turns his head and says something to someone, it's probably Brendan Wayne with Pedro Pascal's voice dubbed over it.
This was also like my first introduction to like Mandalorian lore and culture. Well, because I hadn't seen anything from Rebels and Clone Wars.
In the movies, the original 6 movies, not a single character ever says the word Mandalorian, and all they know about Mandalorian is like, package, like the packaging of the Boba Fett toy might have said like a Mandalorian commando on like the back of it or something. You know, it's like it wasn't a word that was ever relevant to the story enough to even be spoken in dialogue. But despite that, there was still kind of this huge kind of a awareness for like like the Mandalorians, like Boba Fett, like the guy who captured Han Solo and delivered him to Jabba the Hutt.
Well, so I guess when I was watching this, I was like really absorbing like this Mandalorian culture, like don't take off the helmet. We're like focused mainly on like the foundlings, and like all this Beskar stuff was all new to me. And kind of when I went into like Clone Wars and Rebels, I was like, this isn't what I've learned. I thought...
Well, that was my frustration.
Yeah, I was like, what? This is so different. Like this like niche Mandalorian cult that I'm learning about that I thought was actually I guess I always... Because I started with The Mandalorian, right? So that was like my base for what I thought was Mandalorian. And then whenever I like went back and like watched Clone Wars and Rebels, I was like, okay, so this is actually more accurate to what Mandalore was or started with, and this is like a break off. So that was kind of confusing. I kind of wish that had been like kind of talked about, that there's different not clans, what would that be, like not houses either, but like different cults, I guess, like different like religions,
different practices, different denominations.
Yeah, there we go.
That's what you would say in Christianity, right? Like,
that's definitely how it feels.
These are like the Methodist Lutheran, or the Methodist Mandalorians, and then like Death Watch is like the Lutheran Mandalorians, and then like Bo-Katan is like I don't know, she's Catholic. Or they're all like very different, but all like kind of the same thing.
Are you insinuating that these are Baptists? Like you can't dance, you can't take off your helmet?
Maybe. Yeah, they would be. Well, yeah, they would be a bit more on the extreme. Yeah.
But I think they did a good job though, like building the tension and kind of like expectations in this Mandalorian group without, like, everything seems very show not tell. Like there's a couple of times, like whenever he captures his first bounty in the beginning and he's like, oh, I hear you guys never take off your helmets or whatever. Like they plant seeds very well. Like it's very it's like in story, you know, it doesn't feel forced, like all the things we learn.
Yeah, there's a lot of good world building in here.
Yeah.
And there's like, you know, we even see things in some episodes that help explain things later on. Like I guess this might have been the first time I watched it this intensely, you know, like seriously, like taking notes and stuff in one big sitting like this. But like I noticed, you know, there's one episode where Grief Karga tells a guy like, no, you had your shot, dust breather.
Yeah.
Like, get out of here, you know, like you had like your audition attempt to get into the guild, and then later when you meet the young wannabe bounty hunter in the Gunslinger, Toro Calican or whatever his name is, but the dude on Tatooine, you know, you understand like the pressure of like this might be like his only opportunity to get into the guild. It sounds like after you blow your shot, there's a big consequences of that. You don't get to try again, at least not immediately. Just like little like world building things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first episode, it was kind of hard to gauge the tone of the show in that opening scene, because it's, you know, it is very like it's very fun to watch. You know, it's like a exciting sequence, but it's like, oh, is this supposed to be like really serious, and like this is like a, you know, like a hardcore gritty bar where people get cut in half indoors and stuff like that. And like this bounty hunter will be like, I can bring you in warm, I'll bring you in cold, and it's very like deadly dangerous place. But there's also like all this goofy humor,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, in the opening, they also kind of show off. Oh, the show. I kind of like it. I've heard people complain about, mainly when we get to season 3 of The Mandalorian, the stunt casting of like all these big actors, these big names that show up in the show. But I kind of like it. It kind of reminds me of I don't know, like older like 20th century TV. Like there was an era when there was kind of a like, oh yeah, you did kind of have like cool guest stars show up on TV a lot. I guess like more of a thing like before our time, like before I was born in like the like 60s and 70s. But yeah, I don't know, just thinking like shows like the Muppet Show in the 70s where they'd always have like like it's kind of like Saturday Night Live. They'd always like bring on like big famous people.
I was thinking even like Friends did that.
But yeah, or yeah, I guess like in the 90s, yeah, there were a lot of shows in the 90s, but the Batman show in the 60s with Adam West, they would have like they would call them like guest villains, but they would get like some of these big actors to come be villains. Like Cesar Romero as the Joker, like he was like a big well-known actor. Or Burgess Meredith as the Penguin. But in this first episode of The Mandalorian, that guy, the guy driving the speeder, kind of like the Uber driver, because the Mando is racist against droids and didn't want the droid to drive him back to the ship. Like, that guy is a big comedian. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but Nick Nolte later shows up as the Ugnaught.
Yeah. Taika Waititi is IG-11.
Oh yeah, he's in this first episode. But the Mando and the foundlings, when he goes to talk to the armorer, and you see like the little kid Mandalorians, and it's such a cool reveal. I remember that really standing out to me when I was still trying to like get my bearings watching the show and figure out the tone. But it's so cool when he goes after talking to Grief Karga for the first time. But then he goes underground, and it's like the music is so good. Oh, that Swedish dude who's the composer on here.
Ludwig Göransson.
I can never remember his name for whatever reason, but yeah, I can always call him Ryan Coogler's college roommate, because I believe that they were roommates in college, and then he ended up scoring like all of his movies with Sinners and Black Panther, and when the Mando is like walking through the underground shadows, and then like in the background you slowly start to see some other Mandalorian helmets moving around, and then you see like some little kids in helmets like run by playing, and it's just like, oh man, there's like this whole secret society living underground here. Like everyone up top, as they're talking about, like, yeah, you don't see many Mandalorians these days, and like, but they were like so good at hiding. There's like this whole society of them living underground at the city. It's just kind of cool.
And they mentioned that they're only allowed to go one up at a time.
Yeah. That
was a good, like, it was kind of like an offhanded dialogue, like you wouldn't necessarily hear it the first time, but you would like the second time. I also really liked the armor and like the welding pit thing. I don't know what you call it, like the fire that's always going on.
The forge.
The forge. Thank you. I was like, there's a word, I just don't know it. But I like how all that looks, and I like them breaking down the steel, like pulling the steel down or forging and that. It's just very hands-on, very craft. Some of the cinematography in that looks kind of like the Game of Thrones intro to me. I'm never gonna like see moving liquid again like on screen and not think of Game of Thrones. But yeah, I really like the armorer. She's really cool, and I like how direct she is, and I think even later in the season she's even cooler.
Yeah. The actor Emily Swallow, who plays her, or at least voices her, I'm not sure if you're familiar with her work. She was also in the show Supernatural, which she played Amara, or the Darkness. I don't know. You're the one who knows Supernatural, not me, so I don't know if you know her from that. But I love her performance, though. Like, every line of dialogue from her really stands out. But
Yeah, I don't recognize her from Supernatural. But, what else? Anything else on season 1? Oh, Quill. What a cool Ugnaught.
Yeah.
The most, educated, I would say, Ugnaught that we've seen so
The most
far.
educated?
Yeah.
Because he speaks basic. All the other ones speak Ugnautese or whatever they're...
Ugnese or something.
Yeah.
But he's like also extremely good engineer.
Yeah.
And is a good at like, I don't know, catching all of these animals.
He used to be an indentured servant to the Empire.
Yeah.
But, I talked a lot about when we were watching Rebels, how that was the animated Star Wars show that I would have loved to have had when I was a kid. This is like the live-action Star Wars show I would have loved to have had as a kid. And I love that it plays with, like, all of the toys of the original trilogy. Like, kind of literally. Like, I picture a lot of the stories of this first season. It kind of feels like Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau sat down with a bunch of their Star Wars toys, the Kenner Star Wars toys from the 80s. And they had, like, this... They've talked about kind of approaching the show that way. Actually, like, I'm remembering hearing one of them mention about having, like, oh yeah, it's like we have, like, a TIE Fighter toy and the Sandcrawler toy, and we have, like, this one Boba Fett toy painted silver, and just, we're gonna do, like, our hero character is trying to climb over the Sandcrawler, he's trying to, like, climb on the TIE Fighter and get into it, or let's take the IG-11 droid toy and put it on, like, a speeder bike from Return of the Jedi, and stuff like that. So, but yeah, just in this first episode, I wish I could go back in time to, like, when the prequels were coming out, and I was kind of struggling to, like, accept some of George Lucas's departures from what I thought of as traditional Star Wars. I wish I could go back to then and be like, hey, you didn't like Attack of the Clones? Well, here, look at this. One day you're gonna get the Star Wars TV show where a silver-looking Boba Fett guy is going to team up with an Ugnaught, like from The Empire Strikes Back, when they freeze Han Solo into carbonite at Cloud City. He's going to team up with one of those little pig monkey men, the Ugnaughts, and they're going to go ride these blurgs, those animals from one of the Ewok movies from the 80s. And they're also going to deal with, like, a bunch of, like, ex-Imperial stormtroopers that are still causing problems in the galaxy after Return of the Jedi. That was so, like, approachable to me from where, like, I was in the Star Wars fandom, as someone who grew up with those old school original trilogy trappings. And I feel like Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, they were kids when the original trilogy came out, and they were big fans of that shit, and I feel like they had so much fun making the Star Wars that they probably would have liked when they were kids too.
I think what works so well with this is that it pulls so much from, like, your original Star Wars, but it's completely original. Yeah,
they're not using those same established characters or like that
or
the same story.
Yeah, like,
they're not dealing with, like, the Republic. They're not dealing with the Jedi Order, or Vader, or any of that stuff.
Yeah. What do you think of the bounty hunting on Quill's planet? Like, I thought the team up with IG-11 worked out really well. Like, really neat.
And just, like, the animation of IG-11 looked so good.
Yeah.
Like, how he can, like, spin around his whole body, but, like, his face stays stationary and his eyes can stay on his target, but everything else is spinning around. They had a lot of really cool shots of him doing droid action. But yeah, also, like, good character stuff. Is, like, really reiterating the Mando's dislike of droids.
And also, good comedy in there, too, when IG kept being like, I will self-destruct.
Yeah.
And the Mandalorian's like, no.
It even foreshadowing, spoiler alert, for later in the season.
But it's so good. Like, again, that's such good setup. Like, you're adding all these things in that kind of seem like offhand, but then they end up coming in.
It's very well crafted, and it's like Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni just like telling, like, kind of like just like a dumb, stupid story about, like,
what's so good is that you can tell that they fleshed out the whole season at least at one sitting.
Yeah.
Or not one sitting, but one.
Well, we should talk about, I guess, like, the way that they make the show with the volume. Like, they have to plan all this stuff out ahead of time. But yeah, they definitely, like, they broke the whole story from the very beginning.
Yeah, but it's like you can feel like they sat down and said, okay, in chapter 1 we have to do introductions, and also like by the time we get to chapter 10 and we need this thing, like, oh, let's use that thing, and let's make sure that in season 1 we include the IG-11 can self-destruct. And
Or
but
episode
it's like
one,
okay,
chapter one.
now in chapter 2 with the child, like these are the things we have to learn about the Mandalorian for it to make sense. These are the things we have to learn about the child for things to make sense. Okay, what's the next thing he has to learn? You know, I think it's really, or you know, like it's good that you can feel like the goal of each episode for like getting the characters to grow, you know.
Well, something that Taika Waititi said one time that I think of a whole lot is that Star Wars is not a serious story. It's very silly, but it takes itself seriously. And you know that's something like I kind of like this dumb story of like this goofy bounty hunter who just wants to walk around with this like space helmet on his head all the time and not say anything or not say much. And this robot team up to go rescue a baby Yoda. Not rescue. I guess like to go capture. I don't know. It's just and it's just like this goofy puppet. But the fact that like it's all done with like such effort and with like such like care that they still sell it to you and you buy into this ridiculousness. I love that. It's a very unique thing. That Star Wars does a lot in this show, in The Mandalorian. And this is kind of like the in a lot of ways, it's kind of like the opposite end of the spectrum. Like I love how like Andor can take this material so seriously and tell like these gritty stories that are very like nuanced and provoking. But then you can also do like this fun, silly. I don't want to say simple in a bad way, but it's kind of like a simple story. Like you know, I feel like it's something that I can watch with my my 4 or 3 year old niece and nephew, and they would be able to follow and get what's going on, and I like get invested and be like you know like root for the baby, root for the Mandalorian, like laugh at the Jawa humor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So speaking of that, do you want to move on to chapter 2?
Sure.
Okay, so I guess just want to point out that Chapter 1 was directed by Dave Filoni, written by Jon Favreau. I think it was the first time Filoni directed anything in live action.
Yeah.
That's, or at least that's what Wikipedia says. I guess I'm misremembering. I thought it was the
No.
other way around.
No,
But, okay.
I think that's correct.
Well, Favreau writing. I just want to point out the scripting in these episodes, especially like in the first episode where they're kind of establishing things. But I just like love the dialogue. I love like the how people talk, like how Quill and the Mando talk to each other.
They're both very direct.
Yeah, they're very direct, but yeah, everything's very like matter of fact. But it's also it does remind me a lot about like some of the writing in the original trilogy and like how it's not as awkward as Lucas made a lot of the stuff in Star Wars, but it still kind of has there's something kind of like slightly like off about it, but also there's a simplicity to it. You know, like if you're watching this as a kid, you're gonna follow all of the beats.
Yeah, I definitely feel like they would write the dialogue and then strip it, and then okay, how can we strip it a little bit more? Like I would say, like in some of my writing courses, especially for like corporate email stuff, it was like clear, concise, compelling were the big 3. So it's like make it as clear as possible, direct, whatever, concise, short and sweet. Right, and compelling, like interesting.
But just like the way that they would talk about, you know, like writing the blurgs and like y'all, oh yeah, I'll give you half. Half of the blurgs are gonna help me capture. I have spoken.
Yeah.
And like also like this is the way and just
yeah, I like that. I'm gonna start using that with you. I'm gonna be like, this is the way. That way, they end an argument right there. It's like there's nothing else you can do to say. Like I like that about Quill's character too, where it's like. I have spoken. That means, like, there's no wiggle room here.
I mean, yeah, it means he's done. That's his way of saying I'm done with the conversation.
Yeah, like, there's no compromise happening after this. I'm done.
Well, let's talk about him more in Chapter 2, The Child.
Okay, the Mandalorian returns with the child to find his ship being stripped for parts by Jawas. He attacks them, but they escape in their sand crawler. The next day, Quill helps the Mandalorian locate the Jawas and negotiate the return of his ship's components. The Mandalorian agrees to retrieve the egg of a rhinoceros-like mudhorn in exchange for the stolen parts. He and the child find the mudhorn's cave, but the beast attacks him and damages his armor. After a prolonged battle, the Mudhorn is about to kill the Mandalorian when the child uses the Force to levitate the beast, allowing the surprised Mandalorian to stab and kill it. He collects the egg and takes it to the Jawas, who crack it open and eat its insides. With the ship's components returned to him, the Mandalorian works with Quill to repair the ship. The Mandalorian then leaves the planet with the child.
So this is, I think, the first time it became apparent to me that like, oh man, like the structure of the show is very video gamey.
Yeah.
In a good way. I kind of like that. But it's like, oh yeah, I can tell like Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau play video games.
Yeah.
Because it's like here, it's like, okay, you got like a mission, you got like an assignment. But in order to do that, you have to do some of these side quest things first. Like you have to like capture the blurg before you even find where the target is. Then when you find the target, you gotta like, fight all these enemies there. And now that you have the target, you have to do this escort mission back to your ship. But before you can take off in your ship, you have to go deal with these Jawas on another side quest. But I love this episode. I love the Jawas being in the show. I find them so funny. They're hilarious in this episode. I love the action of like, they're already setting up the Mando constantly being on the hunt with here when like that pack of Trandoshans come for the baby.
Mm-hmm.
And he's already kind of gone soft on the baby a little bit at the end of the first episode when he stopped the droid from shooting the baby.
Yeah.
But, he could tell himself, it's like, oh no, I did that so I wouldn't have to split any money with the droid. Also, it's a bigger reward if we turn this thing in alive.
Right. That's
what I want to do. I'll get more Beskar for the foundlings this way. That's like his justification. But it's already like, oh yeah, like it was love for first sight with him too, He's trying to protect this baby. But when the Jawas show up and you get the the sand crawler chase, but it's just funny, like, oh, he parked his car in a bad neighborhood, and then he comes back and his car is on blocks, and there's like Jawas like running away with his tires, basically, is how it comes off. And when he starts shooting them, it's like, oh man, like the show, like Star Wars is hardcore. Like sometimes people get their arms cut off. Like this ain't gonna be like Sabine telling Zeb, like, I don't know if we should fight the Empire this way when he's trying to punch Ruck to death. It's like, no, like in this show, like this Mandalorian would let Zeb punch Ruck to death. He's just he just murders a couple of Jawas. But like they were like robbing his spaceship, so it's like maybe that's justification to open fire on someone. If you're a shady underworld type character like Din Djarin, it definitely is. But yeah, and the Sandcrawler, it's like one of the Kenner Star Wars toys that they used to have back in the day. So,
yeah, I liked his pursuit of the Jawas. That was really funny. Like when he's like climbing on the Sandcrawler and they're like opening random windows and stabbing him and throwing stuff at him and stuff. They're pretty good opponents,
Yeah, and they still
power in numbers.
We just watched the original trilogy 2 days ago. Like they're still very much like the Jawas we saw in the original movie. They feel like cut of the same cloth as those characters. But when Quill and the Mando come back and they sit down and talk with the Jawas, I just love like that. The shot of them like approaching when Quill and the Blurg are pulling the Mando on like that cart behind them, and he's just like sitting there like riding shotgun, with his rifle. That gun, by the way, that comes from the Star Wars holiday special, that Life Day special with the Wookiees.
Oh, cool.
The animated Boba Fett sequence in that, like Boba Fett has that gun.
Oh.
So I actually like in some of the behind the scenes stuff. George Lucas was on set when they were shooting this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, he hates the holiday special. Like, George Lucas has said, like, I wish I could take a hammer and destroy every bootleg copy of that. But Jon Favreau is, like, showing George Lucas, like, look, we have, like, the Mandalorian gun that Boba Fett had in the Christmas special. You remember that? 1978. And you see George Lucas's face, and he's just like, oh, I try not to remember that, He doesn't say that, but, like, that's what he's clearly thinking. But anyways, yeah, I love that gun can just like blow up Jawas, turn a Jawa into dust, and when Quill is like, they really don't like you, he's like, well, I did disintegrate a couple of them.
Yeah.
But when he tries to speak Jawa-ese, And he's like,
They're
like,
haha, you.
yeah, I'm not gonna. These parts belong to me. Like, I'm not gonna give you anything for them. They belong to me. Give them back. And the Jaw is like, you sound like a Wookiee. And
Yeah.
he's like, can you understand this with the flamethrower?
Yeah.
Like, I just love how like hardcore that is. He's just like, I sit down to parlay and talk, but if you're rude to me, I will set you on fire. Like.
Well, it makes like he's pissed because like he's like, just give me my parts back. Like you
Oh.
stole my parts. Like those are my parts. I like that he's like adamant on that. And Quill is like, yeah, we're way past that. You're gonna have to get over that. Like there's no getting these parts back without.
But
Doing
yeah,
something.
Quill is the mechanic in the video game to tell the player like there is no progression past this point until you do this.
Yeah.
So that's how you have to build that stuff into the
Yeah.
game sometimes.
But-
so yeah, we get the Mudhorn quest.
Yeah, that I never realized how much Star Wars animal harm is in Star Wars until watching this chronologically. I'm like, man, they just really kill anything.
Oh
like,
yeah, he kills this beast that was protecting its egg.
I'm like, man, that's fucked up. Especially like kind of agree like later he says like, oh well it wasn't an honorable kill or something, and he's just talking about like, oh well my enemy helped me kill it, like talking about Grogu helping him like lift it so he could stab it. But I'm also like, kind of that's not an honorable kill because that animal has no self-defense in that moment, you know.
Sometimes you have to slay a beast in Star Wars. It's more like fighting a dragon or something.
But yeah, the egg, that was pretty gross. This whole like muddy pit, gross hairy egg was a lot of texture yet for me. But works, I guess, for this show. I'm glad I don't have to see that often.
The show is so well paced because like these episodes have a pretty quick runtime. They fly by pretty quick. This episode's only 32 minutes long, and I remember some people were complaining about like, why is it such a short runtime? But like I always respected it. Like one, I'm really busy a lot of times, and it's like I like when things can tell me like this good story and take up less of my time. That I really appreciate that as a busy person. But also too, it's like I feel like each one of these chapters gave me like so much. It's just such a fun sequence or collection of sequences to sit and chew on for a week. And I never like watched the show to be like, I need to unlock the mysteries of who is the Mandalorian under the helmet. I need to know more about his backstory. I never watched the show thinking like, why does the Empire want this like little Yoda looking life form? And like, what's his origin? It's just like, no, it's like I've seen enough Star Wars and they're like, okay, the Empire, like they're weird about Jedi, they're weird about cloning things, they're weird about Force sensitive things. I saw like Palpatine abducting Force-sensitive babies for years. I don't need to know the details. It's just like I just want to watch these two go on adventures and get in trouble and have to get their way out. And like that's the strength of the show. And like the show like really shines like when you can have like the Mudhorn fight. And even though it's like these like quick run times that kind of fly by, like it can take its time. It knows when to like slow down and kind of like draw out this fight. And make you worry and get you on like the edge of your seat and be like, I don't know, maybe this guy is gonna die. And his near defeat when he's all beat up, his armor has like electric sparks coming out of it to really emphasize that he's injured, that he's exposed, and then he's just like standing. That's a vibro blade is what you call those the knives that get kind of glowy because I guess they're supposed to be like vibrating. But he like holds out the blade, and I guess like he's just ready to die when on the next charge from this Mudhorn.
Yeah.
But instead he gets a Force assist from the kid.
Yeah. That was a good surprise. I do feel like we all knew like that was gonna happen, or like that not that specifically was gonna happen, but that Grogu was gonna be Force sensitive. I felt like that was clear. Because the way that they were chasing after him and because he's Yoda's species, I felt like, oh, well, that just makes sense. So I don't think I was, like, shocked by the reveal of the Force. But I do love how this show handles them not really understanding that it's the Force. They're like when the Mandalorian comes back and tells Quill, like, what happened, and they're just like, I don't know how that happened. That's weird. You know, they're not like, oh, he's a Jedi, like immediately.
Yeah, and I love that though because it was very reminiscent of the original trilogy. Like Luke didn't know about like the Jedi or the Force.
Exactly. It's been so long now that like like in the Empire did so much like purging of like the Jedi culture and the Jedi themselves. So
I don't know if it's realistic. I don't know if it really makes sense that they could just like cover up and erase the Jedi Order from public knowledge that quickly.
Oh,
but it's in line with the Star Wars that was presented in the old days.
And they're in the Outer Rim, right? And there wasn't really that many Jedi even during the prequels.
There 10,000.
Yeah, that's not a lot for a whole galaxy.
Yeah. But yeah, I just love that like they talk about the Jedi like the way that people talked about the Jedi when I was a kid. It just feels it's like just like that familiar Star Wars existence. But the egg from the Mudhorn, I guess like Jawas get crunk on that stuff when they cut open the egg and and they're all happy to start drinking the goop out. They look like Winnie the Pooh getting honey out of a honey pot, is what I always say.
Yeah.
But yeah, those fools crack me up. Moving on to Chapter 3, The Sin.
The Mandalorian delivers the child to the client on Navarro and collects the bounty, 20 bars of Beskar steel. Uncharacteristically, the Mandalorian asks about the client's plan for the child and is told that they are not his concern. Returning to the Mandalorian Enclave, the armorer replaces and upgrades the Mandalorian's damaged armor and weapons using most of the Beskar steel. The Mandalorian accepts a new job from Karga and prepares to depart. Feeling guilty for abandoning the child, he returns to the client's base and kills the stormtroopers guarding it. He rescues the child from Dr. Pershing's laboratory, where it was being experimented on, but chooses not to kill the doctor. On the way back to his ship, the Mandalorian is ambushed by Karga and other bounty hunters who demand that he hand over the child. He refuses and a firefight begins. Outnumbered and cornered, the Mandalorian is saved when other Mandalorians arrive from the Enclave, attacking the bounty hunters and allowing him to get to his ship and escape with the child.
So this kind of cemented the the video game theory to the show, that it's all kind of structured like a video game. Because here, after he completes a big mission, he gets like this big payout, and he goes and he spends it to upgrade his armor.
Yeah. New weapons unlocked.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, you have like a little bit left after you unlocked your armor. Do you want to get this cosmetic signet that doesn't really have any value, but it looks cool? Like, no, actually, I'm going to take the whistling birds.
Yeah.
He has like that choice in the customization. But yeah, so he goes back on his word. He does like the big like bounty hunter no-no. I guess the guild is supposed to provide reliable bounty hunters to the galaxy. There's a lot of Grief Karga takes a lot of pride in how good his bounty hunters are, and he also he tells them like, oh, I'm rich too. After I got like his finder's fee was big.
Your win is my win.
Yeah, it was a big payout for him. But yeah, it's just they do such a good job in Star Wars of they can show like a shot of a helmet. And somehow convey like a character in deep conflict trying to make a tough decision.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as like Vader in the throne room in Return of the Jedi. When Din Djarin is in the cockpit of his ship, he's going to go hunt this Mon Calamari kid. He's on his next bounty hunting quest. But you can tell his just in how they shoot this helmet of this guy sitting in the cockpit. You can tell his reluctance and his struggle. Yeah. Because the controls that the baby played with, he saw that he couldn't help but like think of the baby, like, what have I done?
He's like, God damn it, that thing was so cute. I have to go get it.
And when the armorer,
and he saved him too.
When the armorer was forging his armor, and he kept having like those flashbacks to when he was a kid, and he's like, oh yeah, I just like abducted a kid, like those battle droids, like those battle droids that were like coming for me, and. Instead, he chooses to do what the Mandalorians did for him, which was, oh yeah, we'll just take you in and protect you.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I love his, I don't even know, like, not rage, but like the going into the safe house the Imperial safe house and like just wreaking havoc, man. You can tell like he's kind of thought it out. Like he's like, okay, first step, I'm gonna destroy the Ring doorbell. Second step, I'm gonna run away. Like
That's
he's
so cool.
like he pulls people out. Like I think he has like an initial plan, but he doesn't like. And the rest of it feels like, oh, he's on the fly. You know,
the doorbell thing you're talking about. It's the droid from Return of the Jedi that pops out at Jabba the Hutt's palace and talks shit to C-3PO. But it's like, yeah, I love when he like rips that out. Because basically it kind of sounds like it hurts the droid. It was like, ah, like when it makes like some like screaming sound. I don't know, that cracks me up though. The show makes me laugh so much. But yeah, and like Werner Herzog as the client. We never know too much about this guy. I guess he's just there to be set up as like this big scary bad guy who then gets immediately wiped out by Moff Gideon.
A bigger, scarier bad guy.
So because Werner Herzog's whole big splash in the story, I guess, is in addition to getting the ball rolling in the first episode, but he's also there just to set up Moff Gideon.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's scary dude. It is German, Dutch, whatever accent he has.
He's German or Austrian.
Okay. Well. Anyways, the Mandalorians coming up to the surface is like when they all expose themselves to fight the bounty hunters for the Mando. It was interesting also to see. I was thinking the first time I watched this, like Grief Karga. I guess I thought he was gonna die when the Mandalorian shoots him, but there's the reveal that his Beskar steel that he had tucked away in his pocket or in his shirt.
Yeah, kept that shot from hitting him.
Yeah, so I guess after that, I just assumed he was going to become a bad guy. But like, oh, Carl Weathers as a bad guy is interesting because like he's generally kind of like a likable guy.
He has a sweet face.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. I was gonna say there's like a trope about that with the bullet hitting something. That's like a Western thing too, isn't it? But I can't remember what normally is there. Like, if it's not Beskar, what is it?
It happened in one of the spaghetti westerns, but there's also the story that I always think about when I watch this is James Doohan in World War II, our Scotty actor from Star Trek. He was in the Canadian Army, and he was part of the effort to capture the beaches on D-Day, and he was shot in the chest, but he had a metal cigarette case in his chest pocket that stopped the bullet. Mm-hmm. So he said, I was the one person that smoking saved my life. But
yeah.
But yeah, but like with that, like, they show him pull the Beskar out earlier, and he's like even I'm rich.
Yeah.
And so when you see that reveal later, it's like, oh yeah, it works because they established that earlier, so they were playing fair.
I also like that they establish he has more Beskar and like shows the Mandalorian, so he's kind of like, well, if I'll pay you in this, you know what I mean?
So is the Bounty Hunter Guild? Is it kind of like a union? Is it kind of like the Hollywood unions, and like someone is trying to, I don't know, be a stuntman or but like then the stuntman union comes in. They're like, no, like you can only get like a union.
Yeah.
Stunt performer, and like you need to take like one of these guys. They're like my best guy. He's like a union representative, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's what like a guild is. Like, think of like the artist guild.
But
like
I'm just
in the
trying
Renaissance.
to think about his motivations and his values and stuff. Like when he's like, oh, here comes one of my most valued bounty hunters. What does he say to Din Djarin? He says it really loud. Like he wants everyone in that bar to be like, this is an example of a real bounty hunter. Everyone needs to be as capable as this guy who just got like this really impressive job done.
Yeah.
I need all of y'all to get this caliber of jobs done. This is what you need to be this is what you need to be trying to emulate.
Yeah, he's
this is your
take
goal.
This as a motivational pep
this is
talk.
your inspiration.
Yeah.
But it's pretty scary when all of the bounty hunting fobs, when they all like. Yeah. How do you feel about like the fobs and the pucks? I think
that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Like it's good. Like it feels ancient technology, but old, like new technology at the same time.
Well, it's
like
kind of Star Wars.
It is very Star Wars. Like not high tech. You know what I mean? But it's just high tech enough to feel like real, I guess.
I love that the Mandalorian just like kind of look and aesthetic. Just talking about like the character is to me like I was thinking about it when we were watching last night, and he feels so like old west, like an old west cowboy, but mixed with kind of a knight in armor.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a fusion of both of those things. It's a fun combination. This is like this like knight in armor, but he's also like doing like gunslinger type stuff, out in like an old west town,
Yeah.
like going into like these bars or like going to like Quill's farm, like the Blurg farm. It's like I don't know, like this like guy out in the middle of nowhere, like raising hogs or something, and just he helps you fix your chuck wagon so you can roll on to the next town or something, and then they're like you go and see like the blacksmith who like helps build you something that you pay for with the money you got for bounty hunting. It's just all very like old west.
Yeah.
He's also like a knight in armor who's like fighting a dragon.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like it's high fantasy Star Wars.
But yeah, which the Star Wars was kind of always designed to kind of be this. It's part of like George Lucas's original ideas. You want to be able to take those different elements from different genres and put them all in space and make it work.
Yeah, it works really well here. So during the escape with the child, and the Mandalorian is he's like on that wagon thing, like pinned down, and he is defeated. He like looks at the child. He's like, well, at least I can die knowing I tried my best to save this kid. And then all of his Mandalorian buddies fly up, and they all have like kind of beef. Like remember, like they just were pissed that he got all the new armor. And like they were kind of talking shit about like, oh, we only are allowed to go up one at a time, and this Mandalorian gets to go out all the time, and we have to wait here for him to come back. And then it's kind of cool. Like the only thing is I don't understand is how they knew that he needed help.
I guess they're monitoring what's going on up top.
They have like little Mandalorian babies without helmets, like.
I don't know, maybe they have like
looking around
cameras up there. Maybe they just like watch like the local news. I don't know.
Or maybe they had a fob. Maybe there was another Mandalorian bounty hunter who had a fob.
Yeah, that's possible too.
And they're like, oh shit, isn't that the one that
But
Mando
they could have just like it would have been on all the social media of Navarro is the name of the planet, right?
Yeah.
All the social media of Navarro would be like, if you see this Mandalorian, there is a high reward.
Yeah, but I like that, like, giving up everything for the one, That's that was a really strong Mandalorian culture moment. Like, like, you're like, oh, like, you already have this, like, established idea, like, oh, it took them a long time to get this covert, underground Mandalorian situation going. Like, there's all these rules that they follow. But, like, in the time of need, they'll risk literally everything for that one.
It was cool just to see like this big action set piece too, with a bunch of Mandalorians flying around on jetpacks, because we see that type of stuff in the animation. And I guess this was before season 7 of the Clone Wars had come out when they released this. But they had shown, like all the Mando stuff and Rebels had come out, and like the Death Watch stuff with pre-Vizsla. But yeah, Jon Favreau has the Mandalorian connection.
Yeah.
He was pre-Vizsla, and then here he's Pa-Vizsla. Well, the captions just call him Heavy Infantryman in season 1. They didn't figure out the name yet. But yeah, so he's either the son or grandson, I can't remember which, but a descendant of pre-Vizsla. But I also liked when the Mando put his blaster up to the droid's head and was like, drive. Like the droid didn't want to like go out there and all the blaster fire, but he did at gunpoint. I don't know. It was just Mando and the droids not liking each other.
Anything else on the sin?
The Mando saying, I gotta get me one of those when he sees the jetpack. Yeah.
He said, that's my next level up.
Yeah.
Wish list.
Yeah, but I mean, it makes sense. Like, his play style. Like, he wanted to invest in armor first and like in defense. So it's like, okay, I'm going to be able to absorb a lot of hits before I have to get too worried. So, and that's kind of his play style. Like, he'll just like go jump on that Gatling gun thing in the first episode and spin around on that big blaster. Like, even though people can hit him, but he'll just like run out in the battlefield and absorb the hits,
Yeah.
and then dish out a lot of major firepower. This is kind of, oh yeah, that's how you would play if you have like really strong armor, you know? It makes sense from a video game perspective. But moving on to chapter 4, Sanctuary.
Okay. Arriving on the sparsely populated forest planet Sorgan, the Mandalorian encounters ex-Rebel Alliance shock trooper turned mercenary Cara Dune. Dune is in hiding and asks the Mandalorian to leave so as to not draw attention to the planet. He prepares to leave but is approached by desperate fishermen who offer to hire him. They want him to drive off a band of Klatooinian raiders that have been attacking their village. He accepts the job in exchange for lodging and uses their credits to enlist Dune's help. They are housed by Omira, a widowed mother, and the Mandalorian confides in her that no one has seen him without his helmet since his tribe took him in as an orphan child. The Mandalorian and Dune help the villagers drive the raiders away and destroy an old Imperial AT-ST the raiders were using. A few weeks later, with the peace restored, the Mandalorian plans to leave the child in the village, but a guild bounty hunter finds them and is killed by Dune. Realizing the child is not safe in the village, the Mandalorian departs with the child. And there's that structure again. We go somewhere and we do something, and then we gotta go because we're on the run, you know?
Yeah, but you can get like this good self-contained story.
Yeah.
And, again, like, I feel like this is an episode, well, I guess people wouldn't accuse this one of being filler, but I heard like some people call like Mandalorian episodes filler episodes sometimes, and it's like, there's no filler episodes in the show. It's like they roll into town, they get in a problem, and they resolve it. Like, that's the show. Like, people wanted to be like, well, I want to see what's going on with like the Imperials that are after Grogu.
Okay.
Or people that like they want to see.
These people don't understand character building if they think any of these episodes are filler episodes, because if you have to put them in these situations where they have to lose something or gain something, right? And like in this one, like Sanctuary, like you're seeing like, oh, the Mandalorian and the child could settle down here and live here and be here like happily, but they can't.
This explains why the status quo of the show is going to be they have to stay on the move.
Yeah. And also it shows, fighting, like, what am I trying to say? It's still world building. You've got post-Empire, so, like, what does that look like for, like, these smaller planets? And then, you get more Mandalorian lore here and more Mandalorian backstory on Din Djarin. Like, I just don't see how anyone could say these are filler episodes.
Because nothing serious to like the show's status quo changes, and like nothing big is revealed, I guess, about like the mysteries of the show. But like I was saying, like if I was like an executive at Disney and Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau brought this show to me, I would tell them like, I never want this to be resolved. We can just do this forever. I never want to see who's under that helmet. I never want to learn Grogu's backstory. Let's just like have them like on the run, and we could just do like all kinds of fun little action missions. Like here, they have to like save this village, and then next week it's something else.
Yeah.
I just feel like you could just like do that forever, and just bring in like all this different talent to tell like these really cool little action adventure stories. And I guess here this is Bryce Dallas Howard's directorial debut in the Star Wars world, in the Star Wars franchise. And Deborah Chow directed the previous episode. I think this was the first time, with Deborah Chow on episode 3, but the first time a woman directed Star Wars ever was in a show that came out in 2019.
Took long enough. Damn.
Yeah. 42 years in. But what else about Chapter 4, Sanctuary? Eugene Cordero, one of our Star Trek actors, Rutherford from Lower Decks, shows up here.
Yep. I like the farming, like layout. Like whenever you see it from the aerial view, it looks kind of like circular. Like it's all centered around the village, and it almost looks like what I like kind of it looks like the imperial logo, but it's like not symmetrical, like it's asymmetrical and stuff. So it's kind of interesting to think about like that centrifugal like banding, I guess, that like the farms have. I liked the ATST. I liked seeing like how scary that was for
Yeah.
like because we see it so often like in other stuff that and it's like the mini version of like the AT-AT, so you're kind of like that little shit.
Oh yeah, that's the little one. Yeah, the chicken walker.
It was cool to see
people
it
call
be
it
so
the chicken
scary.
walker. Yeah. Show some respect for the ATST. Yeah, these dudes remind me a lot of. I know you haven't watched them, but there's some live action Ewok movies that they made for TV in the '80s, where Warwick Davis comes back and plays Wicket, and these guys, they kind of remind me of some of the bad guys that are in the second one of those. But it's another Seven Samurai retelling.
Yeah.
So Taylor's never seen the movie Seven Samurai, but you've seen it retold in Star Wars multiple times.
Yeah, and other stuff.
Yeah, also like A Bug's Life. But yeah, basically these villagers, they need help from these marauders, and they're these very humble, salt of the earth people, and they have so little to offer, but they really need help, and it's just kind of the noble thing to do, to accept their small little payment, but accept it and then fight for them. But more than just fight for them, they teach them how to fight for themselves. That's another key thing that's in the Seven Samurai. It's a key thing in that Clone Wars episode, the Bounty Hunters. Because it's basically like a bunch of other bounty hunters and our Jedi heroes teaming up to train these farmers to fight off Hondo and his pirates. But this version of the story, they introduce the character Cara Dune, who Star Wars doesn't use anymore because the actor made a big ass out of herself. So kind of unfortunate about that. But to be fair, I did kind of get like real dismissive of the character. But like watching this, like it did remind me, like, it was like a good instinct to try to add like this. It was a unique Star Wars character. We never had like this big strong woman soldier who fights for the rebellion. Like this, like we think of Alderaan, we think of like Belle Organa and like Princess Leia and these kind of like fancy rich people. But here's this like big strong gal from Alderaan who just wants to bash Fash. She's just like, I was all about killing space Nazis. I hated the Empire. I wanted to shoot up the Empire. She came into the war kind of late. She said that she saw most of her action in cleaning up Endor.
Yeah.
So she must have like got really involved after her planet blew up.
Well, she was young. Like I think that in this she's only 30, so that means at the time she was probably 20, right? Like in Endor.
I guess yeah.
Alderaan, or maybe a little bit less.
Alderaan blew up 9 years before this.
Yeah.
So that's probably when she started fighting. But yeah, now she's on the run. It's interesting. She's a refugee from the New Republic. Because she said that she had what she called an early retirement, but she went AWOL after she didn't like that she was having to protect delegates and doing what I thought was interesting when she said riot control, I think. But she didn't want to have to break up protesters.
Yeah.
And so it's she's like a very likable character. I just wish the actor had a better sense and didn't make a big ass out of herself. And then double down and just make it worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, fuck her. But anyways, the big battle with the ATST at the end, that's what I'm talking about. Like another example of it's just this brisk 41-minute runtime, but they can slow down and draw out the big moment. Mm-hmm. And when they bring the thing down, and then Din has to get close to it to throw in the detonator and blow it up, and I don't know, it's all when it spots them, when it sees Eugene and then starts blasting and blows up the shit right behind them, and it's no, stand your ground, stay. It's that would be so scary to stand your ground against this thing.
Yeah.
It's very, very immersive. And yeah, it's crazy that they were able to, when they revealed how they made the show, when they were like, hey, we make like this whole TV show on this warehouse with this AR wall thing. And they're like now after, especially after like a couple seasons of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, a lot of people are like fed up with the AR walls. And I felt like Obi-Wan Kenobi felt like kind of like a smaller show. I know that was like one of the complaints about that show is like it felt like a small budget, and I used to think that was kind of weird. But then like when we were watching Kenobi, there were a few times I was like, oh yeah, I guess like this could have been like a little bit bigger and stuff. And I don't know, watching The Mandalorian now, I guess knowing more about how that technology works, the volume they call it, watching it now, I couldn't see it the first time, but I can kind of see like I think I can kind of tell like where the reality ends and the AR wall begins. But I'm also like I'm really looking at it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you were talking about like with CGI face Tarkin, how like that used to not bother you that much until I started talking about like how much it bothers me. And now like
Yeah.
whenever he's on screen in Rogue One, you can't help but just like really like stare at his face, like analyze every little phrase. And then, it gets kind of distracting. You stop paying attention to the story or like absorbing the visuals as you're meant to. Instead, you're just like trying to look for like does this look CGI or not? So it can be like a little frustrating, I guess. But overall, I think the fact that they could like do this variety of locations and stuff. I know like they do go back to Navarro a lot and use those sets a lot. But for the most part, just here within 4 episodes, I feel like they cover a wide variety of Star Wars locations. Like sometimes the animated stuff feels a little limited. They like in Clone Wars, they would create some planetary environment and then be like, well, let's get 4 episodes using these assets we just created.
Was it like Flatonia or something?
Are you talking about
The one with the flowers.
Florum?
No. The one that they did the fight with Yoda was on that one with his first arc with R2.
Oh yeah, when he's with the clone
I thought it was
fire. No, that's on the that first Yoda story. It's on the Toydarian planet, isn't it? That's with the King of Toydaria.
Oh, I thought that they were in a neutral location, but it doesn't matter. But yeah, there's definitely reused planets in the Clone Wars.
But yeah, I feel like they get like a lot of variety out of the Mandalorian. They go a lot of different places. There are the recurring though. Like we visit Quill a couple times, we go to Navarro multiple times. But let's go to Tatooine if you're ready to move on to Chapter 5, the Gunslinger.
It was the same. Sorry, I'm thinking about that planet name still. It's gonna bother me. But it's where the Ayala Jedi died. Okay, it'll come to me eventually. Anyways, Chapter 5, the Gunslinger. The Mandalorian defeats a pursuing bounty hunter in a dogfight. He lands his damaged ship at a repair dock run by mechanic Peli Motto in Mos Eisley and Tatooine. He seeks work in a cantina to pay for the repairs, meeting aspiring bounty hunter Toro Calican, who is tracking elite mercenary and assassin Finnick Shand. Calican needs to catch Shand to join the guild, and the Mandalorian agrees to help in exchange for the bounty reward. They capture Shand in the desert, but she destroys one of their speeder bikes. While the Mandalorian retrieves a dewback for transportation, Shand tells Calican that the Mandalorian betrayed the guild by stealing the child, making the bounty on him and the child worth more than hers. Shand offers to help Calican capture the Mandalorian if he sets her free, but he shoots her instead and rides the remaining speeder bike to the repair dock, taking Peli and the child hostage. The Mandalorian arrives, disorients Calican with a flare, and kills him. He uses Calican's money to pay Peli for the repairs and leaves Tatooine. Dropping in, doing the job, leaving.
By the way, I think the planet you were thinking of is Felucia.
Felucia, that is.
But anywho, back to Tatooine. Yeah, so we get our fledgling bounty hunter, our young rookie who does not make it into the guild because he makes some poor choices here.
He makes it out of life. But
so we made it 5 episodes before we go to like a familiar planet in this show. Pretty good for Star Wars, I guess.
Yeah.
But it is the most familiar. Like they literally go straight up to Mos Eisley and go to the same cantina that Luke and Ben Kenobi went to 9 years earlier to meet Han Solo and Chewbacca for the first time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It looks good. The docking bay, it looks like docking bay 94 that the Millennium Falcon was parked in, but I like the docking bay that Pele works in. I gotta admit that the first time I watched this, I did get a little annoyed at the battle droids. It's like, man, like I really like it when I can just like not be reminded of the prequels, but I don't know. I guess it bothers me less and less the older I get.
Well, I like it because it's very realistic, like repurposing
No, it
old
is, yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, and I thought these guys were kind of funny when we recently rewatched Clone Wars, so I'm kind of on board with the pit droids now. But remember that droid, the whack droid, Whack 47?
No. In
Well,
Clone Wars?
Yeah. He was one of these things. He went on that. He was in the Colonel Gascon episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to give more context than just a name. I'm terrible at names.
Well, yeah, that was Whack 47. How the fuck can you forget a name like that?
And
Whack
she's
47.
Peli has whack 48, 49, and 50.
Oh yeah, they're not quite as whack. It helps that these guys don't talk and say a lot of annoying stuff.
Yeah, they're scared of the Mandalorian because he came out swinging at them.
Well, he doesn't like droids.
I know. I just want to point out too, really quick, that he left the child on the ship. What a bad dad.
Because he doesn't know. Like, he doesn't know how to raise a kid.
Not.
He doesn't know what, like, the responsible things are to do. Like, and he knows, like, this isn't for me. I'm not supposed to be doing this. I should leave this kid here at this, like, nice little village.
But it's so funny because so often, like, at the village, he was like, I can't let that kid out of my sight. Can't let that kid out of my sight, you know? And then it's like, he's just going to leave him on the ship. Like, that's so wild. But I like that Peli hears the kid and picks him up and is like, oh, little baby. Yeah. And, like, takes care of him. But
there's always danger with that. When someone sees the kid, it's like, you know, are they going to be...
They know.
Yeah, and, like, are they going to be good or bad? Like, you know, Peli could go either way, you know.
But I like that she goes well. And, like, we know she comes back for season 2. But what was I going to say? I like that she chews into the Mandalorian when he comes back. She's like, you can't just leave this baby on your ship. What the hell are you thinking? You okay?
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have anything else to say on the Mos Eisley stuff before we move to the Fennec Shand part of the story?
No, we can, yeah, so this was the episode that created Fennec Shand, who'd go on to be a big supporting character in, the book, in the Book of Boba Fett.
Oh, that too.
And then in the Bad Batch. But they originally made her sound, like, so evil and scary in this episode. Like, I was surprised that they tried to, redeem her later, but I don't know, I watch it now and I'm like, oh, she's actually, like, not that bad. It just, like, sounds like she killed a lot of people for the Hutts, but
yeah,
a lot of people do a lot of shady shit in this universe to make ends meet and get by, I guess. You make a career out of smuggling drugs, you make a career out of bounty hunting, make a career out of assassinating. So she is a very formidable opponent, though. I love how scary it is to, like, try to approach her. That's, like, you know, like the sniper, and you can't, like, go out in the desert, and you have to wait till night, then use those flare things to blind her scope. When they're crossing the desert and come across the Sand People, because he trades the binocs for safe passage.
Yeah.
But yeah, how the Mandalorian, he's well traveled. Like, he has, like, a lot of experience. He doesn't know jack shit about taking care of a baby, but, like, he knows how to barter with Sand People and get safe passage through their territory.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, but that's also very Western coded. It's very, like, Native American. It's very like these, you know, white people coming through the Old West talking about, like, oh yeah, like the savage Indians are all out here, and, you know, they're the local people are, you know, or you're scared of them, and then the other perspective being like, oh well, you know, from their point of view, they're the local people.
Yeah.
And everyone else is a trespasser. But what do you think about Fennec Shand?
I like that they show her being pretty badass, like you said, and I totally knew she was gonna sweet talk her way out of this, or not sweet talk, but manipulate her way out of this situation. And I know it doesn't end up working like that, which I think was good. Like, I think it was a good surprise to see that Toro guy listen to her
Toro
spiel.
Calican.
But then he just, like, shoots her. I was really surprised by that when we watched it the first time. I thought they were going to team up and she'd kill him or something.
Yeah, but yeah, like, he can't trust her, though.
Yeah.
So I guess that was the risk that she took about, like, revealing that the Mando would actually be a more valuable bounty than her. But, yeah, then,
but I
then he just drops her.
The Mandalorian originally telling Toro to go get that back. And then Toro refuses. He's like, "No, you'll just take the bounty and run or whatever if I leave you here with her." And you can like see Din Djarin like calculating all of the potential.
Yeah.
Like
he did not want to leave the two of them alone together.
Yeah.
Because he knows that she knows. Cause
yeah.
She
mentioned
she
Navarro.
recognized him. Yeah. She was like, have you been to Navarro recently?
Yeah, and he also I think like he knew of Fennec Shand before, like whenever Toro told him who the puck was for, he was like, "Oh, that girl's a bad bitch," you know. So I think he already knew like she's gonna be easy to manipulate, this young up and coming bounty hunter, you know,
who's desperate to get in. And again, like they've established kind of the stakes of like you don't want to miss your shot to get into the guild.
Yeah, so I was surprised that he shot her, and then you know. I mean, this just seems like really dumb to me. I guess, what am I trying to say? Like, when you're playing like a game and you don't like switch your strategy, like mid-strategy to go to a different strategy, it just seems like, man, just finish one job and see how that goes.
You wanted to be a legend, though. Like, she hyped it up as like you would be an instant legend.
But, like,
you know?
okay, we'll turn her in and then immediately turn around and capture Mandalorian after that.
Well, that sounds a lot harder.
Well, he is silly. But yeah, he was just like a hot shot and didn't have, you know, any skill. I mean, he had some skill, but
all
he was...
hat, no cattle.
Yeah.
As they say here in Texas,
anyway,
I guess.
So he makes it back to... Because he saw the baby whenever they were leaving the ship repair area. So, that's why everything kind of clicked into place for him.
And the tension you get from that of just Pelly standing there with the little green baby in her arms in front of this guy, and he sees it, and Mando sees that he sees it, and yeah, just like the added tension you get from that.
He's like, well, if this goes badly, that guy's got to die because my child comes first. But yeah, I like the standoff in the repair area, I guess the docking bay or whatever, where he comes out of the ship with both of them. And it just, the tension is so good in this show. And also the like the way that Din Djarin gets out of it is really creative, you know. I think they show a lot of his like skill or like using his resources. Like he really is very calculating, I think.
What did he do that was particularly clever here?
Like him using the flare. And it's interesting because they had just used it earlier in the episode, so that you kind of it establishes to the audience like what it is.
Device, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It just works really well. Like him letting the guy talk as long as he wants and stuff to keep him distracted. But I don't know. It just all works out so well to maintain the tension, but also has like he like already kind of knows his way out, you know?
Another thing in this episode that stood out to me, I thought it was nice to see all of the stormtrooper helmets on spikes in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because the last time we saw Mos Eisley in Star Wars, it was crawling with stormtroopers.
Yeah.
And so this is post-Imperial Tatooine. Mos Eisley has been liberated.
Yeah.
This is kind of cool to see. And that's just kind of a background detail here. You know, so this is part of the setting, part of the backdrop that the Mando and baby stories take place on.
Yeah.
But we can move on to Chapter 6, The Prisoner.
The Mandalorian contacts his former partner Rand Malk for work and is offered a price in a 5-man job. He is joined by ex-Imperial sharpshooter Mayfeld, Devaronian strongman Berg, droid pilot Q90, and Twi'lek knife expert Xi'an for a mission to rescue Xi'an's brother Quint. A prisoner of the New Republic. The team infiltrate the prison ship, fight off security droids, and kill the ship's security chief, though not before he triggers a security beacon. The crew rescue Quinn, but double-cross the Mandalorian. Q90 finds a message from Karga to the Mandalorian discussing the child, and finds the child in the Mandalorian ship. Meanwhile, the Mandalorian escapes, defeats each crew member, and captures Quinn. The Mandalorian leaves Mayfeld, Berg, and Xian locked up on the prison transport before delivering Quinn to Ran. He departs with his payment while Ran immediately launches a fighter to kill the Mandalorian, but discovers the New Republic beacon on Quinn. A trio of New Republic X-Fighter wings arrive and attack Rand's station.
So yeah, funny thing with those X-Wing fighters is that they're all directors from the show in the X-Wings.
Yeah. It's what, Dave Filoni, is it Deborah Chow?
And then Rick
Famuyiwa. That was a long last name.
The guy who directed this one, though.
I'm going to try it. Famuyiwa. We're trying. But Rick. Okay. What did you think of this episode?
This one's really fun. You said it was like kind of Star Wars does Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
It's like ragtag team of bad guys put together to go do a mission. But it's also, these are people that the Mando used to work with. Like, he used to do assignments with them on occasion. So it's kind of like, like your old friends that you used to hang out with when you would go get in trouble and be bad. But now you're trying to be like this better person and raise this kid. But these bad people from your past show up and they want to like bring out the worst in you again. But it's more impressive casting. Like, all of these people, I guess I don't know who the Twi'lek brother is, but like all these other people, I'm a big fan of. The droid, I think it's K90, actually. Not, but because they call him Zero
Gotcha.
a lot. But he's the dude off of the IT crowd who's real funny.
Yeah, Moss.
And of course our friend Clancy Brown. We see him a lot in everything. He was in Star Trek once in an episode of Enterprise. He is a voice actor in tons of things, including Avatar. He's Lex in a lot of the animated DC stuff. He's Lex Luthor. But here in Star Wars, he's been Savage Opress. He's been Ryder Azadi. And then here he is as Berg, he's a devil man. He's a Deveronian.
Yeah.
Like Azago in Rebels.
Yeah.
Is it Azago or Vizago?
Vizago.
Yeah. But the Twi'lek girl, that's is that Asha or Osha from Game of Thrones? And then the guy who plays Ran, the guy who hires them for this job, he was in Batman Begins. He was the dirty cop, Flass, in that. So, but yeah, really cool character actors. Clancy Brown looks like he had so much fucking fun making this, though.
Yeah.
This is like scaring the mouse droid, holding up the door, being fireproof.
Yeah, throwing the droids on each other. That really big
body
droid.
slamming that droid.
I like that he did that, and then he immediately like flexed his arms and went like, "Arr!" Like, that was really funny. The other thing I liked in this was that droid, I guess Q90. His piloting skills, like when they're like, "Oh, well, he's a better pilot than you, Mando." Like, let's be real. And when he came in hot to that prison ship, man, and they're just like all flopping around in the back of the ship, but he comes in like does this big swoop and like lands and docks. I like that whole sequence where he's like telling them exactly what's happening, but it's done so fast that it's already like the next thing. So then he's like a little bit late to tell them what just happened. But I thought that was some pretty good flying. I was impressed by that.
Yeah, you were commenting on how that was very efficient. It seemed.
Yeah, it was very efficient.
But yeah, so this is kind of our first glimpse at the New Republic, though. But yeah, the new government that the Mon Mothma and company have set up post the fall of the Empire. It's kind of fun to see their prison ship. Who would be their prisoners? You got like these this criminal guy, but you also have there's an ex-Imperial guy in there. I was saying if this was a video game and you're on like this mission, these would be like NPCs you could go up to and talk to. Like you could go up to the Imperial prison cell, like ask that guy a question, and he would talk about. He'd probably be like, let me out of here, and I can help you out. I have a lot of powerful friends within the Imperial forces. We're going to reconquer the galaxy, and I'll make sure that you're well rewarded if you let me out. He'd probably say something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. What do you think of like the Republic having these droid manned prison ships, and then also like the X-wing fight, like the X-wings are like part of like the official government now. Like the X-wings are like part of like the state military,
yeah,
or like the state police. But like these X-wings can just show up and like drone strike the space station.
Yeah, I feel like they should have done a little bit more investigation before just bombing that station, but yeah.
But I don't know, maybe it kind of comments on like, oh yeah, like the New Republic just kind of like, they kind of started sucking immediately.
Yeah.
It's like, is this what like Han and Luke and Leia fought for? But I don't know, maybe it is. Maybe that's how it worked out. I have kind of like mixed feelings on that, but it's kind of interesting to see if that's where they decide to go with, they kind of made a point in the sequel trilogy of showing that the New Republic government could be slow to act and not up to the challenge. They couldn't rise to meet the moment and stop the First Order in The Force Awakens. So I guess they. I don't know. I guess Star Wars just doesn't. They just don't like the big governments. Just
yeah.
They're never good
if
here.
you think about it, like we're having a really shitty job as a government in one country. Like imagine it being a whole galaxy. Like that would just be really fucking hard. So I get like the inconsistencies and stuff, and like them having to weigh more things, then it takes longer. But it's annoying. Like yeah. Like
just from a creative standpoint, at one point I probably would have thought like, no, I kind of want like the big victory from Return of the Jedi to mean something. I kind of want like this new government to be like pretty good and be like a lot better than all the corruption we saw in the Old Republic, and how it's very I talk about it all the time with the prequels, but I love the cautionary tale of how it's very easy for a neoliberal democracy to slide into a fascist authoritarian state. But when I'm watching this and then I see like, oh yeah, like the X-Wings basically go and like commit like a drone strike like the United States would do in the Middle East. Oh yeah, here's like a target. We have permission to blow up this guy. Oh, he's like over here in this building with other people, but like fuck it, we still have permission. Bombs away. That's very much how like the United States has behaved for years, waging war overseas. And I don't know, I kind of like I kind of like that, like the New Republic kind of sucks, and we can be critical of it. It's just, I don't know. It's just like an interesting. It's just kind of fun to see like Din Djarin kind of like he uses the environment that he's in very well.
Yeah.
Like he's like, okay, here, like yeah, and he's kind of like. He doesn't really have like any respect for any of these. He wasn't for the Separatists clearly, because they sent like their battle droids to massacre his family. He definitely doesn't seem to have like any love for the Empire. So he wasn't like so like against the Separatists that he became like a Republic fanboy, and then he didn't like bust out the pom poms and cheerlead for the Empire like a lot of the galaxy did.
Yeah.
The thunderous applause we heard about. But he also doesn't seem to be, a big fan of the New Republic. Like he goes and like breaks into one of their prison ships and free. He is like very worried about like we don't want to like bring down a lot of heat on us. Like he's scared of like like a bunch of X-wings being up his ass, hunting him down. He definitely wants to avoid that. But yet he can still use like, okay, I'm gonna put the tracker on this guy. I'm going to use the when the military X-wings show up looking for their escaped prisoner, I'm going to use that to take out this guy and take out Rand, because they're a liability to me too.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think that he doesn't have like an allegiance to anyone like that because he is raised as the Mandalorian underground. Like, that's they don't want to be ruled. Like, that's, like, their whole thing with the Mandalorians, right? So, I think they see, like, any kind of government as, like, awful.
They want their independence. So the Mandos are they're kind of like Count Dooku. I figured out. He's like he's like a small government conservative. He's like this very like libertarian. He's like I don't want any state.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I agree. I liked all the badass fighting on this prison ship, and like you said, like using his environment to take down people. I like that they trapped him in one of the prisons, or like the prison cells or whatever, and he lasted in there for like 30 seconds before escaping. Like, they just got far enough for him to pick them off one by one.
They show all of these other like scary criminals, and then they make him be like the scariest one out of all of them when they're all scared of him. You know, it almost kind of turns into like a horror movie at the end where like Din Djarin he's the slasher. Yeah, he's like the Michael Myers or the Jason Voorhees coming after all the other characters. Yeah, they're all gonna die in the horror movie.
Yeah, he actually doesn't kill any of them on the prison ship. He puts them all into a cell. So that was
he doesn't kill anyone. Yeah. The Republic.
Oh, technically, yeah.
The Republic comes and kills people, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was really fast-paced episode also, and fun.
What do you think about seeing Dave Filoni in the next wing?
That was exciting for me. The first time I saw this, I had no idea who that guy was, so I was like, I don't care.
I was like,
but now I'm like, hey, he doesn't even have his cowboy hat on.
Oh yeah, they should have had a cowboy hat instead of the rebel helmet.
That would have been too much, I think. But yeah, that was a fun cameo.
Okay, yeah, that's a fun episode. But yeah, I like it's just like, okay, here it's like a heist episode.
Yeah.
Here's the job. We're gonna go into the ship. What are we stealing? A person. Okay. And then yeah, like halfway through, things go wrong. It gets interesting, and then it all resolves in the end. And then we're off to the next adventure.
Yeah.
Is this also the one? Was it Chapter 6, The Prisoner? That's the one that opens with someone attacking his ship.
Yeah.
And says, I can bring you in warm or bring you in cold.
That's the previous one.
Okay,
that was,
so
in,
that
the
was in the Gunslinger.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was funny. He's like, that's my line.
Yeah.
And then blows him up. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, okay. So let's move on to, they kind of do like a two-part finale here, but the first part, Chapter 7, The Reckoning.
The Mandalorian receives a message from Karga, whose town on Navarro has been overrun by the client's troops. Karga proposes that the Mandalorian use the child as bait in order to kill the client and free the town. In return, Karga would stop his guild from hunting the Mandalorian and the child. Sensing a trap, the Mandalorian recruits Dune and Quill, with Quill bringing along a rebuilt and reprogrammed IG-11 to protect the child. They meet Karga and his associates but are attacked by flying creatures. Karga is injured and the child uses the Force to heal him. In return, Karga murders his associates and confesses his original plan to shoot the Mandalorian and take the child to the client. Instead, Karga pretends that Dune has captured the Mandalorian while Quill returns the child to the ship. During the meeting, the troops working for the client's boss, Moff Gideon, open fire on the building and kill the client, trapping the Mandalorian, Karga, and Dune inside. Moff Gideon arrives, demanding the child. Outside the town, scout troopers kill Quill and take the child. Big sad. Where do you want to start?
So, this is the introduction of Moff Gideon. And, so much of Season 1 and so much of the client, it was all just to set up this new major bad guy for the show. Who I guess, you see his defeat in Season 2, and then you see him defeated again in Season 3. I was kind of thinking they were always planning this would be like at least, like I think there was like a possibility where the show ended after 16 episodes. And sometimes I do wonder, like, I kind of think that would have been like a satisfying conclusion.
Yeah, I agree.
But anywho, I don't know. I guess that is like a fear I have of like the Mandalorian and Grogu, is that they're just gonna milk this once brilliant concept and just until it's like so like stale and played out, and maybe they'll trash it eventually and ruin it. Maybe that happens when this new movie comes out. I don't know. I'll always have this first season to return to though and enjoy. But yeah, the big entrance for Moff Gideon. Also, Carl Weathers as Grief
Karga.
Karga has his face turn. He goes back to being a good guy
Yep.
in this episode. And the force healing, I guess they hinted at it way back in episode 2.
Yep.
After the Trandoshans jump the Mando, he has that nasty injury on his arm that Grogu like reaches up to, and he was trying to force heal it.
Yeah.
Because then here we see him force heal Grief Karga, and it turns him back into a good guy. He's like, oh, I like this little baby. I can't betray him.
Yeah.
He just saved my life.
Yeah.
I kind of like the simplicity of that.
Yeah. Very black and white there. He's
Yeah.
like, well, can't be doing that.
He's like, and maybe, I don't know, maybe when they were first writing the show, they didn't know who they were going to cast. But he has such, like, he's just, like, such, like, big, friendly, goofy uncle energy, you know? Yeah, he works it way better as a good guy when he's saying, come on, baby, do the magic hand thing.
Yeah.
But the sad part of this episode is that we lose our favorite Ugnaught, Quill.
Yeah, that was extremely sad.
Gunned
Especially
down by the Empire.
getting his whole backstory, like, oh, I worked 3 of your human lifetimes in servitude to the Empire or whatever. And, like, he's like, oh, I'm finally free. I'm doing everything I want to do because I want to do it. You know, and he kind of, like, gets pulled back in on this. Like, he does seem like he wants to protect Grogu, you know, like, that's, like, his new, I don't want to say mission or anything, but he's definitely, like, on board. But, like you said, like, the Imperial scout troopers killing Quill, that's, pretty dark. And, you know, to his ending, like, of him being free and still getting killed by them.
Yeah, right after, like, we really, like, fall in love with this character. There's also the episode that, like, he does, like, the whole montage of, like, retraining IG-11.
Oh, yeah.
Which, when I watch this, like, the show makes me laugh so much, in, like, a good way. Like, I'm not laughing at the show, I'm laughing with it. But even though I'm laughing at things that I think aren't intentionally funny, but I still feel like I'm laughing with the show. But for whatever reason, it just cracks me the fuck up that they have, like, this whole montage of an Ugnaught teaching an IG-88 looking droid. It's just like these concepts that have existed since The Empire Strikes Back came out in 1980.
Well, I think that makes his comment earlier where he says, like, oh, well, I'm not good at babysitting, like, this child. Like, I don't want to do that. And then it shows a whole montage of him teaching a droid how to walk and talk.
But because he's like a mechanic and he works with machines, and it's like he can raise a baby if it's a mechanical baby, basically. But it's kind of like a commentary on parenting. It's like when he says this is how you do it with constant patience and affirmation, and I'm like, oh, he's doing gentle parenting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That's just. But yeah, of course, this is the moment. Like, he doesn't even reveal his name as Quill until this episode, I believe.
Yeah.
Because it's just. I mean, it's kind of racist how they just, like, call each other, like, Mandalorian, Ugnaught, you know? It's like, finally, he's like, I have a name.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would just be like people just being like Mexican, Jew, you know, like that.
Yeah. In their line of work, though, I think sometimes that's to protect the other person.
Yeah.
Know, it's like, well, one, you don't want to form an attachment, and 2, it's like, oh, well, if someone, like, captures me or something and they're trying to get information on me, I don't know his name.
He doesn't want to give much away, yeah. He's like, I don't care to know your name because I sure as hell don't want to tell you my name. It ain't been spoken since I was a child.
Yeah.
Which makes it such a big deal when Moff Gideon shows up and, like, knows his name. He knows Cara Dune's, like, full name. He's saying, like, her full Alderaan name. He's like read all of their Wikipedia pages. He knows everyone's, like, the personal life section on Wikipedia. Like, he's expanded and read that on all of them. Mm-hmm. But Moff Gideon has so much res when he shows. First of all, he's like a cool fucking TIE fighter that, like, the wings can fold up. Like, he lands his TIE fighter in this episode, right? In episode 7.
Yeah.
And I cracked the code on Gideon watching it this time. I figured out what he is. He is, if you did a fusion combination of Grand Moff Tarkin and Lando Calrissian. This is who you would get.
Yeah.
Because I was basically saying, like, I was like, if Tarkin had Riz, and like, I was like, oh, look, and he's a cape guy. He's got like the cape energy, and then like it hit me. It's like, oh yeah, if you took like Billy D. Williams, and you like, it's like on Dragon Ball Z when Goku and Vegeta have to merge and become Gogeta or Vegeta or whatever. It's like if you did that with Peter Cushing and Billy D. Williams, this is what you would get.
Yeah.
So
he's pretty scary.
Yeah, Esposito. How do you say his first name?
Giancarlo Esposito.
Giancarlo Esposito. But yeah, I guess he really broke out after his performance in Breaking Bad. He got on a lot of people's radar after that.
I'll throw my hat in. I know him from Once Upon a Time. He was the mirror. He was a genie.
But yeah, he's almost always a villain, but he makes some damn good bad guys.
Yeah.
Kind of like Clancy Brown. It's like, I think they could play heroic characters really well too, but I like seeing them as these baddies.
Yeah, but that was a good Moff Gideon intro. I liked that he comes out swinging. And, like, I don't know, he's just cool as hell. And it's brutal, like, the way that they just, like, shoot into the client's shop and kill everyone. He's like, you've disappointed me for the last time, and blah, blah, blah. Like, that's so Imperial.
And, you know, it's like a big criticism I hear a lot of people say, but, like, I've heard people say, like, oh, I hate it when bad guys just start killing their own men. Because, you know, who's going to keep following someone like that in that situation, you know?
Yeah.
But... And I kind of get that. I think it is kind of played out. Vader made that really popular in 1980 when The Empire Strikes Back came out and he's force choking all his people.
Yeah.
You get the impression that, okay, in this 5 years after the Empire fell, like they've talked about some of these like high-ranking Imperials kind of broke off and became these independent warlords. And as long as they keep like paying their men, like these men keep, you know, working for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get the impression that Moff Gideon might be like he's like a little unstable. Like he's
tweaking a little bit.
Yeah, like he's kind of like I know you haven't seen Apocalypse Now, but he's kind of like Marlon Brando's character in Apocalypse Now. But I was telling you that was the Umbara arc of Clone Wars, like General Krell. Like Moff Gideon, he's a little going a little off the rails, like General Krell, you know. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he seems like a formidable foe. Oh, that vehicle that like he buses in his troops on, that's from Star Wars Rebels, that Stormtrooper transport, but it's based on a 1980s Kenner toy. And I really realized, like, oh man, like this show, The Mandalorian, it reminds me so much of what Dave Filoni got to do with Rebels. When it was like the first time he got to be in charge of a show from the very beginning. You know, Clone Wars was Lucas's baby, and he hired Filoni to make that show with him. But Rebels was like Disney turning Filoni loose. It's like, okay, now you make a new animated show. And he's like, okay, I'm going to make a show about like the kind of the adventures I would play as a little kid playing with Star Wars toys. You're like taking like my hero characters and putting them in the TIE Fighter, because I had like the TIE Fighter toy. We got like that Zeb episode, Fight or Flight, you know, where they still a TIE Fighter. And he's like doing the same thing here, like when he has Moff Gideon show up with the Stormtrooper transport toy. But like Rebels, season 1 of the show does a really good job establishing its original characters and its own story, and it doesn't try to tie into any of that familiar other stuff until season 2. The exact same thing that Rebels did. So when Filoni teams up with Jon Favreau, it's like, okay, you're turned loose to make a live-action show for Disney. This is what they do. He kind of does like the same approach as when he got to do it in animation for the first time. You know, it's like, oh yeah, let me just like bust out my toys and come up with some new characters and some new stories. We'll do that in season 1, and then in season 2 we can kind of circle back to the more familiar characters and tie them in now that we've established our new thing that we're doing. But let's talk about this last episode if you're ready for Chapter 8, Redemption.
IG-11 defeats the scout troopers and rescues the child. Gideon informs Karga, Dune, and the Mandalorian that they will be executed if they do not hand over the child. IG-11 arrives to save the others. Gideon's forces attack and the Mandalorian is injured. He instructs the others to escape and find help from the Enclave, while IG-11 removes his helmet to tend to his wounds. Joining the others afterwards, the Mandalorian discovers that the other Mandalorians are gone except for the armorer. She tasks him with returning the child to its kind before holding off the arriving stormtroopers. The group escapes down an underground lava river on a ferry, but are ambushed by stormtroopers at the end of the tunnel. IG-11 self-destructs to defeat them. Gideon attacks in a TIE fighter, but the Mandalorian uses his newly forged jetpack to bring the craft down. After burying Quill, the Mandalorian embarks on his new mission with the child, while Karga and Dune stay behind on Navarro. Gideon survives the crash and frees himself with the dark saber. Dun dun dun! End of season 1.
So the opening of this episode with the this, I guess they're technically scout troopers with the visor thing on their helmet, but they're on the speeder bikes from Return of the Jedi, and they're so mean to our little baby Grogu.
I cannot believe they hit that poor thing 3 times, like really hard. I was pissed.
Well, they wanted to make sure that you hated these guys, so that you can laugh at the fun droid shooting the stormtroopers.
I guess so. It was a little harsh for me.
But IG-11 is hardcore. That's like the most badass babysitter ever.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah, I liked having that like awkward convo between the 2 scouts on their bikes when they're like getting orders to like wait because they're like, oh well, Moff Gideon just killed someone for interrupting him.
I'm a Taika Waititi apologist. I know like a lot of people like, I don't know, he was really popular for a moment, and now people like want to talk shit about him. Because like, I don't know, I like both his Thor movies, but I wanted Taika Waititi to make his Star Wars trilogy too. Like he was like, I'm gonna make a Star Wars trilogy, and it's all people who don't know jack shit about like these other people. It's like they're not gonna tie into anything.
I would trust him to do something like that. Yeah, because
that's what I feel like the Mandalorian does such a great job of in season 1. But it is very Taika. But like the scene of the 2 scout troopers talking to each other, it's like, okay, this is what stormtroopers would talk to each other. They're like, oh, did you hear about Moff Gideon? Like, yeah, I mean, I'm like, sometimes they like to lay down the law when they first show up in town. You know how it is. But like no, I'm not going to fuck with this baby. Like Moff Gideon just killed his own men to send a message. Like, I got that message. Do you get that message?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, yeah, this is what like 2 stormtroopers would talk about. I also like how when in the last episode when they turn in when Grief Karga is pretending to turn the Mandalorian over, and the way that like the scout troopers are just kind of like leaning on the speeder bike.
They're like lazy.
These guys are so,
they're not on post.
Yeah, they're so like laxed and undisciplined now. Like 5 years after the Emperor is dead, they're getting a little. It's crazy that there's some that are still true enough believers. They're still sticking with it, but they're definitely not as dedicated as they probably once were. But the armorer and her conversation with Din Djarin, I love how like she talks about like the Jedi, about how like, oh yeah, like eons ago there were these ancient battles with a race of sorcerers who could move things with their mind. Like that's not quite how you should describe Jedi, but I could, it sounds like you could picture someone in like the Star Wars universe, a casual observer is like, oh yeah, they're like sorcerers, they do like magic and stuff, they move shit with their mind. But again, it's more like the Jedi are just kind of like these things of legend. That's how I want the Jedi to be rare and mysterious, like that. And I just love that, like, the main character, like, he doesn't know how to take care of a baby, but he also, like, he doesn't know about Jedi. It's like, man, I get frustrated watching you because I know more about the universe you live in than you know about it. Yeah. It's like, I know more Star Wars shit than you do, and you actually exist in this universe. But it's fun to see that.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. There's just something like, it just feels more appropriate. Like this would be the common typical experience. Like most Mandalorians, they have no idea the kind of shit that goes on in the Emperor's throne room. Like when Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader have their final confrontation. Like these people don't see that. They don't know that stuff. They just see what's on the Holo News.
Well, in one of these episodes, they even mentioned, like, the Mind Flayer, and they're like, that's just war propaganda. But that was real.
The Mind Flayer?
Like, the droid, the, like, truth droid mind probe. They're talking about that. I think it was in the chapter 7. But, like, when they think they're all gonna die, she's like, well, I'm not getting my mind flayed, and I'm not gonna wait around and find out. So, like, you can definitely tell, like, they don't get... Like, nobody really knows all the shenanigans that have happened. But, what'd you think about the Mandalorian's helmet finally being removed?
It cracks me up that he's, like, clean-shaven, or, like, a little, like, mustache.
Oh yeah, he wouldn't really care, right?
But like, yeah, it's like it's a very neat, tidy look on his face. It's like he should have either had like no facial hair or just like a lot of stubble, or but like I don't know. It's just weird that he has this he has this cute little mustache under his helmet. But yeah, Pedro Pascal. It's like actually him. So it's like the one time I know he was actually there in season 1. But we see more of his face in season 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a fun moment with the droid of like, oh, I can reveal myself to you because you're the only character here who's not a living thing. Yeah. So it's kind of, I can treat you as an object instead of a person. It's kind of a loophole in the Mandalorian code. But yeah, I guess like it's so stupid too to like talk about this, but like the Mandalorian like overcomes his droid prejudice when he sees the droid sacrifice himself to protect this baby Yoda from a bunch of stormtroopers, and then he does the thing that he wanted to do so much in the first episode and self-destruct and blow himself up.
Yeah.
And when you say it out loud, it sounds like the dumbest fucking story ever told, but it's so moving to watch. I love it. And it makes me laugh. The same way like Moff Gideon makes me laugh. He just like cracks me up when he's on screen. I don't know why, but I think he's a good villain. Like I take him seriously. Like God, he's scary. But I don't know. He just the way he like delivers lines and says things and does things. It's just funny to me. The show is so entertaining.
Yeah.
But and then we get like the big TIE fighter battle. There's also like the buff astromech droid that had like arms and legs and paddled a boat in a river of lava.
Yeah, that was funny.
Navarro's kind of a cool planet. It goes back to like that old school George Lucas Star Wars thing. Like every planet is one thing. It's like all desert or all forest. It's like here it's all lava fields. It's because we're kind of starting to run out of ideas. But Mustafar is like all hot lava and volcanoes. This is like a cold Mustafar. This one's like cooled down a little bit.
This planet is older.
Yeah, there's still like some lava flowing, but not as much as on Mustafar. And the TIE fighter battle.
That was super reminiscent to me of when Bo-Katan and Ezra took out those TIE fighters together. Do you remember when Ezra just got his jetpack?
Yeah. And
Mando just got his jetpack?
Yeah, this is like a video game upgrade. It's like now you can explore Navarro and fly around and get to like new areas that were not accessible previously.
Yeah.
But also fight TIE fighters.
Yeah.
And the season ends with the reveal that Moff Gideon had the Darksaber. So we tie into some big Mando lore. What is it, like the Night of 1,000 Tears? So this is what happened after Bo-Katan had her uprising against the Empire, that we see the setup for in the final season of Star Wars Rebels. And when Sabine Wren gives Bo the Darksaber and she's going to lead the Mandos against the Empire, the retaliation was, Moff Gideon. He was an ISB agent. And I guess he becomes the new Imperial appointed governor of Mando. And I kind of think of it like a Moff. I don't know if this is in the official rules. I think there might be some contradictions and some of the canonical stuff. But the way I think it should be is like, okay, like a governor is like in charge of a single planet or system. Or like maybe like a small collection of systems, like maybe like a sector. They've used that term in Star Wars before. Say a governor like governs like a planet, and then like there's like a group of planets. Like say like the entire Outer Realm was Moff Tarkin's territory. Mm-hmm. Like a Moff is like a governor of governors, Or like it would be like if like the United States was like 50 states with 50 governors, but then there were like
regional governors.
Yeah, there were like 10 regional governors that each had like 5 states under them, or something like that. So like I guess Moff Gideon like oversaw the part of space that Mandalore was in, was like his territory. And then he became obsessed with Mandalorian culture and he just wanted to appropriate, like, oh, the Darksaber is cool, that's gonna be mine. This armor is cool, that's gonna be mine. Like he just wanted to do the Imperial thing and extract resources from their planet, extract resources from their culture.
Yeah.
And we see the Bo-Katan stuff come back in season 2, but just this also kind of what was like one of those like it breaks the internet kind of moments. More like just the hardcore Star Wars fandom that had watched the animations when the Darksaber popped out of that TIE fighter, we were like, holy fucking shit. They're bringing the Darksaber into live action. It had never been in live action before.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's cool to see, like, oh yeah, that's something that, like, Sabine has held in animation.
Yeah.
And then here it is, like, and the live action show is going to take it seriously and remember that stuff from the animation and put it in the big mainstream show. So, but I don't know. You have any other thoughts on Chapter 8 Redemption?
I don't think so. I think it was a really good ending to season 1 and really sets up a good premise for season 2. Like, now the new mission, instead of just keeping the baby safe and be on the run, it's like that, but also now we gotta go find his people to return him.
Yeah.
So that sets up I think, and then getting like the Darksaber reveal at the end, you're definitely like, oh, we're gonna see some Jedi eventually. Like, who's gonna show up?
So, I guess my theory on where I think Dave Filoni might want all this stuff to go, but I think eventually we're gonna have like a Grogu who is like a little bit more grown, like maybe not adult, maybe he'll be teenager, maybe he'll get adult eventually, but at some point in the future we're gonna see like this ultimate Star Wars badass. It's going to be a young Yoda who is strong in the Force, but also a Mandalorian, because he's going to be I think he's going to be raised by Din Djarin in like the Mandalorian way, and at some point he's going to wear a Mandalorian helmet, but it's like a helmet shaped like a Yoda head with like the big triangle ears on the side. Yeah. Like, we're going to see like a Mandalorian helmet that looks like that, and this little Grogu Jedi, and he's going to wield the Darksaber. That's going to be his lightsaber.
Yeah.
Because it belongs to the OG Mando Jedi, right?
Yeah.
So, but I think that's, like, Dave Filoni is like, okay, I'm going to make this baby Yoda character grow up into, like, the ultimate Star Wars badass.
It seems pretty ridiculous to say all of it and not imagine it kind of looking dumb, but I kind of trust them to do it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, yeah, I see what you're saying, and I see that it could be very stupid, but also you've done a lot of other stuff that sounds like it would be stupid, and you pulled it off. So I'll wait and see how that goes.
I think that's gonna be like Star Wars Episode 16 is gonna be like Rey Skywalker is like this old. She's gonna be like the old Obi-Wan Kenobi. And then, like, Grogu is going to be, like, he's going to be, like, a young, powerful Jedi.
Yeah. He'll be, like, 100 years old.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So it's, like, the equivalent of being, like
10.
But, I mean, Yoda trained Jedi for 800 years, and he was only 900. So by the time Yoda was 100,
he was already a Jedi master at that point.
Yeah, or at least, like, a Jedi Knight who took on his first apprentice.
Yeah.
So... but maybe Grogu will have a growth spurt, and he'll age like 2 decades in the span of a few years or something.
We don't really know how the species ages.
So they have options there. But I guess if that's all you got, then we can go ahead and call it a day. But I'm very excited to watch season 2 of The Mandalorian and discuss it.
Yeah.
So that's what we'll be talking about next is season 2 of the show. But after that, we'll be going straight into the Book of Boba Fett before season 3 of The Mandalorian. Then, of course, Ahsoka. Then a skeleton crew we'll be seeing for the first time. And then we will be ready for the Mandalorian and Grogu film. So, but... until we get to that, and until next time, remember, the Empire is for bootlickers. Be a rebel, and may the Force be with you.